My banned book was The Color Purple by Alice Walker, and the book has been banned and challenged and censored and all of these other things, mainly because of the sexual explicitness and homosexuality and racism and all these things that were happening in the time period that the book was written. But people thought it was scandalous, and they're like, oh, children don't need to be reading this, and all those other types of things. The book has been challenged and banned in so many different places that it's just ridiculous. And it was challenged and banned by all these different people, mainly a lot of different parents and organizations of parents and other such things like that, because they're like, well, my child doesn't need to be reading about this kid being raped by her father. So there's that. A few of the more specific examples of when it was banned consist of an instance in 2003 and an instance in 2009. In 2003, it was banned and challenged in school libraries in Fairfax, Virginia. And the people who had challenged it was an association of parents, and it was called the Parents Against Bad Books in Schools. And it was for, quote, profanity and description of drug abuse, sexually explicit conduct, and torture. And then in 2009, it was just by parents in Burke County Schools in Morgantown. And it was for, quote, homosexuality, rape, and incest portrayed in the book. I feel like Alice Walker wrote this book because she wanted to speak out for people at that time period. Alice Walker has been known to be sort of an activist, so that's probably one of the main reasons that she even wrote it in the first place. I do agree that some people shouldn't read this book because if they're not mature enough for it, then they're not going to be able to handle it. But other people, I think it's very important for them to read it because it could help them through whatever they might be going through, and they might find it interesting. I mean, it's a really well written book, so it's not like there's anything bad there. I feel like it just, the important lesson overall is pretty much just this girl, she never lost faith really, and even when she did, she tried to go through for her sister, and it ended up turning out as a really nice book in the end. So I mean, I guess just keeping that faith there and knowing that, you know, even if the person couldn't be there for them, that they were still cared for and all those other types of things. Okay, so I'm going to read my banned book now. The ending, because that kind of sums up everything and like lets you know what the book was overall about if you didn't already know or if you just didn't care to read. Dear God, dear stars, dear trees, dear sky, dear peoples, dear everything, dear God, thank you for bringing my sister Nettie and our children home. Wonder who that comin' yonder? Asked Albert, looking up at the road. Us can see dust just a-flyin'. Me and him and Shug sitting out on the porch after dinner, talking, not talking, rocking and fanning flies. Shug mentioned she don't want to sing no more. Well, maybe a night or two at Harpo's. Think maybe she retire. Albert say he want her to try on his new shirt. I talk about Henrietta, Sophia, my garden, and the store. How much in the habit of sewing something that I stitch up a bunch of scraps, try to see what I can make. The weather cool for the last of June, and sitting on the porch with Albert and Shug feeling real pleasant. Next week be the 4th of July, and us plan a big family reunion outdoors here at my house. Just hope the cool weather hold. Could be the mailman, I say, except he's driving a little fast. Could be Sophia, say Shug. You know she drive like a maniac. Could be Harpo, say Albert, but it not. By now the cars stop under the trees in the yard, and all the peoples dressed like old folks get out. A big, tall, white-haired man with a backward-turned white collar, and a little Humpty Dumpty woman with her gray hair and plaits crossed on top her head. A tall youngish man with two robust-looking youngish women, and the white-haired man say something to the driver of the car, and the car leave. They all stand there at the edge of the drive, surrounded by boxes and bags and all that kinds of stuff. By now my heart's in my mouth and I can't move. It's Nettie, Albert say, getting up. All the people down by the drive look about us. They look at the yard, the house, Shug and Albert's cars, and then they look round at the fields. Then they commence to walk up real slow to walk to the house. I'm so scared I don't know what to do. I feel my mind stuck. I try to speak, but nothing come. Try to get up, almost fall. Shug reached down and give me a helping hand. Albert pressed me on the arm. When Nettie's foot come down on the porch, I almost die. I stand swaying between Albert and Shug. Nettie stands swaying between Samuel, I reckon, and it must be Adam. Both of us start to moan and cry. Us totter toward one another like we used to when us was babies. Then us feel so weak when us touch. Us knock each other down. But what us care? Us just sit there, lay there on the porch in each other's arms. After a while, she say Seely, I say Nettie. Little bit more time pass. Us look round at the people's knees. Nettie never lets go of my waist. This my husband Samuel, she says, pointing up, and these are our children, Olivia and Adam. This is Adam's wife Tashi, she say. I point up at my peoples. This Shug and Albert, I say. Everybody pleased to meet you. Then Shug and Albert start to hug everybody one after another. Me and Nettie finally get up off the porch, and I hug my children. I hug Tashi, then I hug Samuel.